Hello, lovely CAWC members. Today is QuranTea Tuesday that I, Dalia, am the hospitality chair is hosting, and I'm very excited today. We have a lovely speaker, Vanessa Louise, who is going to give us a talk on the naked life, living the naked life.
Living the naked life, yeah.
Living the naked life. And it's going to be about stripping back your story to connect with yourself, with others, and the planet and the earth, the world around us. And I am extremely excited to hear your talk, and I am recording this. So we're putting it on YouTube for other lovely ladies who also want to see the talk. So very excited. Welcome, Vanessa Louise. And thank you for joining us today.
Oh, it's my absolute pleasure. I really appreciate being asked to come and share with you lovely ladies, because I'm so passionate about being in discussion about things that really matter. And to me, that is living the naked life. Thank you all for being here as well. But my invitation to you, oh, look at that, lovely. It's a real gift to give yourself the time to be here. But equally, a lot of speakers would say, listen to me. I don't do that. I say, listen to yourself. There'll be things that I'll share from my experience and the benefit of my experience, that the words I speak may speak to you. That's the bit I would like you to listen to, not actually me, if that makes sense. So that's my invitation to you. And make a note if you've got any thoughts or feelings, because I would like this to be interactive. If you want to ask as we go along, I'm more than happy for that. We don't necessarily have to wait till Q&A at the end, because if it's present for you, that's all about energy. That's important that it's said as we go. So one of the things I decided from a very early age was I wanted to help people feel better about themselves. Why? I was about 13 years old when I recognized this, because I didn't like myself growing up at all. I really struggled with myself. So I will just share my screen if that's all right, because I've just got a couple of images that might just, here we go. So this was taken at a time in my life where I had decided to transform myself, and a girlfriend of mine snapped these shots at a headshot session that we had, and this is how I see myself. This is how I have chosen to see myself, because I didn't like myself growing up, and I didn't feel very good about myself growing up. So in my early years, because I wanted to help people feel good about themselves, because I think ultimately when people feel good about themselves, it's what I call green lights all the way to work, isn't it? You're in that flowing place, you have a high vibe energy, you feel loving and kind, and life just seems to be joyful and present. On the contrary, when we feel rubbish about ourselves, we don't have the energy, we tend to snipe and complain, and that's something that I didn't want to experience in my life. So that's where I think this all came from when I was a wee lass. And so naturally, thanks to my mum, bless her, she encouraged me to get into the world of beauty therapy. She said, if you want to help people feel better about themselves, then why don't you help them look and feel better on the outside? I had a natural flair for makeup artistry at 6 years old. I was a dancer. And I used to dance with my little mates in competitions, and I used to make them up before we'd perform. So hence, not being very academic, I chose to go down the route of using my hands, and I've always loved connecting with people, so it just made sense to go into the beauty industry, and I absolutely loved that. So for over 25 years, that's been my line of work. I traveled on the cruise liners. I had an amazing time. I then did TV and film makeup, and I I was a director of a sales cosmetics company, which I just absolutely loved my work. In working with these women and helping them feel better on the outside, I recognized one thing. It didn't matter how good we felt about ourselves on the outside if we didn't love who we were on the inside. And actually, for me, any woman, any person really is only as beautiful as recognizing the beauty of their own heart. So hence began my journey. And through my own adversity, I was living through some real challenges where my life just simultaneously was kind of falling away from me. And I was just finding myself in a place where I just was existing. I kept having what I call the naked dream. And this to me spoke when I struggled with myself growing up. I thought it was because I had body confidence issues. And here's just a very amusing shot of myself when I was about 18 months old, because I thought I won't actually share with you a naked shot right now of me. But the reason I share this image was because I lived a lot of my childhood like this. I was a hefty little thing, and my mum fed me, and that's why when I thought and I was having what I called the naked dream, I would be caught in my local high street, and this is as an adult, all my adult years, I'd be caught in a high street with no clothes on, and I couldn't cover myself up. And I don't know if anybody else has had like the naked dream. And and everybody was pointing their fingers at me and laughing. I felt humiliated and embarrassed and shamed in my dream. And I just couldn't cover myself up. I thought it was because I had body confidence issues. I thought it was because I'd always struggled with my weight. And I kept having this naked dream, and I just put it down to that. Then when I turned my life around and I began to work on the inside of the woman rather than the outside of the woman, and I was mentoring with mental and emotional health and helping people transform their lives, I kept having this dream. I'd lost my weight. I'd lost about 6 stone after having my son. I'd transformed my life. I'd felt so much better. I was really on a journey where I felt I was, on track, if you like. And I kept having this dream, and I kept thinking to myself, why am I having this dream if I feel so much better in myself? Actually, what I realized was the fact that it was not about my body at all. It was about truly showing up as myself. There was such a fear of revealing my true self. So it had nothing to do with nudity at all. So hence where Naked was born. And for me, naked is where we feel physically strong, spiritually connected, mentally sound, and emotionally expressive. And it's a courageous move to show up as yourself. It really, really is. And it got to about 2016 where I recognized what naked meant to me and what this dream meant. That in the exploration of all of that, I recognized that the reason I was so fearful of showing up as my true self, the reason I struggled to really reveal who I was because there were parts of me I didn't like. There were parts of me I was ashamed of. There were parts of me like my anger. There was guilt. There was shame. We all have it. We all have a story where we don't feel we're good enough, that we don't feel that we're worthy enough, that we're useless. My story was I'm unlovable, I'm useless, I'm unworthy, I'm ugly, all of this kind of stuff. And there's lots of negative emotion that comes with that. And the work I did, which is more commonly known as the shadow work, is where you really embrace all the parts of you that you don't like. Your ugly self, your angry self, your shameful self, your fearful self, you name it. We all have a story that we tell ourselves. And once I began, and this was actually what woke me up to this concept, was this quote from A Course in Miracles. I was doing some work on building a workshop. This really, really struck me. You believe in the insanity because you created it. You do not believe in love because you do not. If you just change a couple of those words here, you believe in the story because you created it, but you don't believe in who you truly are because you did not create you. Who you truly are is the most magnificent, loving, harmonious, peaceful person. And that's the invisible part of us. The physical part of us is in contrast to that. But this was where Naked was born, when I really, really discovered the beauty of embracing all parts of me, the bits I didn't like. And in around this time, I remember being in conversation with my dad, and my dad is my hero. He's my best friend. He's brought me up on it doesn't matter how you perform at school. It's not about your grades, but it's about who you are as a human being. And your grades don't tell me how kind you are. Your grades don't tell me how tenacious you are. Your ability to spell doesn't tell me how well you can communicate with people. So I'm so grateful to him. And my mum, she just taught me how to be kind. She's the epitome of kindness. That once I really recognized that there is more to me than meets the eye. Dad and I were in conversation at the early part of 2017, because we were both at a point in our lives where we needed to level up again. We really needed to reveal who we truly were, to be able, or who we truly are, to be able to live that harmonious life that we were wanting to live, and level up, if you like, in all areas of our life. And we decided that we wanted to perhaps create a place where other people could join us. And we wanted to help people not only think better, but feel better. So we began in conversation. It wasn't called Naked then, or The Naked Life, but we began having a conversation where we wanted to create a space where we could bring people together to truly evolve the way they think and the way they feel. So that was beginning of 2017. And our dear friend Chris joined in that conversation, because here's the thing that we recognized. When we're caught up in our story, when we believe the part of us that believes we are less than, that believes we are small, that believes in the fear and the anger, we will do anything to help ourselves feel better. And in my experience, these are just some of the common ways that people will reach out of themselves to fill up a never-ending hole that can only be filled up from the inside. We will eat too much. We will maybe spend money when we don't have it. We will drink too much. One of the classics actually is prescriptive medication. I find people, the clients I work with now, they just numb themselves out with prescriptive medication. I've got a headache, paracetamol. I've got an ache and pain here, just numb it out with ibuprofen. And they've become addicted to these things. These are just some of the things. Codependency is a big one, where we rely on people to make us feel better. All of these things we choose to do and we choose to partake in my opinion, are all because of a lack of connection, because of a disconnect. So anything we want in our lives, whether it is an experience of exhilaration, or to experience a hug from a loved one, or whether it's a donut or a glass of wine, is all because we think it will help us feel better. We're trying to fill, like I say, this whole of either unworthiness or unlovable. A whole point of it is disconnection that can only be filled up from the inside. So this is my finding, this is my experience, and this is all part of my story as to why I am so passionate to help people understand that the story that they tell themselves is merely just a cover-up of preventing them from truly revealing who they are. And the back end of 17, just as I was beginning to launch Naked in my mentoring programs and to help people understand the concept of naked, I had a lightning bulb moment where I recognized that we are everything and nothing all at the same time. And what I mean by that is I truly believe in a power that turns the world, grows the grass, and beats our hearts. That power has saved me, or connection to that power has saved me many times in my life. Whatever you choose to call it, universal force, God, power, nature, you could call it Fred for all I care. But whatever it is that's turning this world, growing the grass, and beating our hearts is the part that makes us so much more powerful than we give ourselves credit for. The problem I find is that we believe in the nothing part of us, which is the physical. And for anybody who has experienced burnout or exhaustion, will know what I'm talking about, because that's when we tend to rely on the physical part of us rather than our connection to that energy. So the next morning, I woke up after this realization, helping people understand that we're everything and nothing. How do I do that? And when I came out the shower, there was this beautiful rainbow on my bedroom carpet. So I recognized that there was a glass prism on my window ledge, because I love triangles, that the sun was shining through. That science tells us that by refraction will create a rainbow. And a beautiful array of color. So this is my analogy of trying to help other people understand that if they want to experience connection, flow, ease, joy, love, kindness, all those beautiful, beautiful high vibe loving feelings, then it's imperative for us to understand there's more to us than just a physical being. So here is a little analogy, and I thought to myself, if I could get an 8-year-old to understand this, then everybody could understand it. So let's just pretend that my analogy, in my observation, that the sunshine is the invisible power, and that the human being, the prism, the glass prism, represents us as a human being. When you allow the sun and that energy to flow through you, here's what we have, and I call authentic expression. This is us truly showing up naked. This is us revealing our true self. The problem I find is that, and what I recognized was that if the clouds had been there that day, then we wouldn't have got the rainbow. We would have just had the sun and the prism, but there wouldn't have been the rainbow. And that's when I realized that actually this is what our story, the umbrella represents our story. If there's a lead umbrella in the way, the sun is still shining, but the story of I'm not good enough, I'm unlovable, there's something wrong with me, I'm too this, I'm too that, the ego, the mind chatter that prevents us from truly connecting to ourselves. When the clouds are in the way, when that story is in the way, as you can see here, the sun is still shining, it's still doing its thing. The universal power is still there, but the human being is unfulfilled. The human being is unfulfilled, and therefore we have limited expression of self. And the grey for me represents mundane, boredom, all of that kind of thing. There's a list here of just some of the things that people have shared that they feel when they are in this place, when they are allowing the story to get in the way, when the clouds are in their lives. They're angry, they're bored, they're resentful, they feel hopeless or anxious or depressed. So to help us understand this further, when we let go of our story, when we learn what it is that makes us feel good, when we get rid of that story, and we allow the universal power to flow through us, and we recognize that we can experience a joyful experience in our lives, we can live in love, we can have fun, we can feel grateful and passionate, and we feel so much more accepting and confident and content when we allow the universal power to live through us. Now, this is what I recognized naked to be, was really to strip back that story. And I really sat with myself and worked out that how I feel, there's a lot of talk around out there about mental health, which is what you think. There's not an awful lot of talk out there about emotional health, which is what you feel. And I recognized in 2017, when I really embraced this concept and I focused more on how I felt, which then helped me retrain my thought process, really focus. When I really focused on how I wanted to feel, my girlfriend coined it Vanessence. She said, it really feels like you are in your essence. And that for me is where Naked was born. And that is what I help people with, is truly understand who you are at the core is vibrant and loving. And how when you get in the way of that, you allow yourself to, and there was 3 epidemics, I believe, that are killing off the human spirit. And that is ill health, violence or anger, and addiction. And whether you suffer from a headache or you have a debilitating disease, whether you are angry at yourself, you're experiencing anger or violence in the world, or whether you are taking paracetamol daily to numb out a headache, or you're snorting cocaine or drinking too much, we are all experiencing these three epidemics in our lives on all levels and on all levels of intensity. And it is my absolute passion to help people understand that they can do something about this for themselves if they just understand that their story is what is getting in the way. So early part of this year, 2020, I was in conversation with my dad and Chris again, and we got to the point, and this is prior lockdown, which is really interesting. We got to the point where we said, right, we're really ready now to build something from naked. And this is where we came up with The Naked Life, where it's a space we would love people to come to and communicate and co-create with other people so they can feel deeply connected to self, others, and the planet. Because one of the things that I am finding in the conversations I have daily with myself, but with my colleagues and clients and friends and family is, and what we're experiencing at the moment, is there is not an awful lot we can do to change the outside world, but we can start here with self. And when we feel connected to ourselves, when we feel good, when we align ourselves with that power, then we can truly allow ourselves to express who we truly are. And by doing that, then we are able to connect and communicate with others better. And can you imagine a world in which everybody felt connected to themselves and loving and kind? Well, this is what Dad, Chris, and I are wanting to put together, because we truly believe in a future that is kinder, more creative and compassionate than the world we have known, a future in which we are deeply connected to self, others, and the planet. And to bring this world into vision, we have created a space for us and people like us to heal from the ways of the past, to gain a new collective perspective about what is possible, and to co-create new environmentally regenerative, socially just ways to live, a new way of being. And we call this The Naked Life. So we are in.
How do you do that? How do you get people motivated? How do you steer them to you? I mean, do you have meetings that you have weekly, or what's the secret to getting people to be motivated to try and change their ways? Because like you say, we're all in a bit of a lots of people are in a cloud, and it's how to break free from that, how to get motivated.
Yeah, really great question, Andrea. At the moment, one of the ways that we are finding is to be in conversation. So we are this is all still very embryonic at the moment. The idea, is much needed in the world right now. We've got somebody building a platform for us, because online is the best way for us to be able to connect many, many people. At the moment, we have an online space in Face Group that we've called The Naked Life, where we share ideas and concepts, and we invite our guests, if you like, all of us, to be in conversation together about what they need, where they're struggling. We have a whole myriad of people with all sorts of different experiences, and being naked is scary. Being naked is a very vulnerable place to be. And if it was easy, we wouldn't have a problem. In my experience, all I've ever wanted, and I can only speak from my experience, when I have felt in that place, then all I've wanted is for somebody just to hold the space for me to feel safe, to feel loved. That the reason we struggle so much to show up as ourselves is because of fear of being judged or laughed at, or whatever your story is, criticized, knocked down. We all have our own experience of times where we have felt good and we've shown up in the world, and somebody might say to you, oh, who do you think you are? Or what's so special about you? Or why don't you just follow the rest of us? We're all taught to conform. we're all taught to follow from a very early age. We are taught to listen to everybody else but ourselves. We're taught to listen to our parents, our elders, our teachers, the people in authority. There is so much information out there that we are so bombarded with at the moment. We don't know which way to turn. And it's a real passion of mine, and I have practiced as best I can with my kids, who are now teenagers, to just teach them to listen to themselves, and not to not listen to others, because obviously we share this planet with 7+ billion other people. But when we can learn how to hear the whisper of our hearts rather than the noise of our minds, if you like, and the chaos and the noise that is our mind chatter, not only do you understand yourself better, but you are able to be more loving and compassionate and accepting of others. So within this space, Andrea, at the moment, we're all leaning in. We don't have the solutions. We're not saying that the naked life is, going to provide you with this, that, and the other, and it's the answer to all the world's problems at all. But what we do recognize it as is a place where I feel safe, you feel safe, others feel safe, and that's the feedback that we're getting. They feel safe enough to say what's on their hearts, whereas they might not be able to do so with the people that they live with, whether that is family members or friends. And it's just being able to have the love and support where you're not going to be judged. And there are no answers in that place, but from bringing people together with open hearts and open minds and a willingness to create something new, solutions will be found. And the reason we're creating this is for self, others, and planet. There is a big ask at the moment for the self piece, and that's what we're finding that the guys and girls in the group are finding for themselves, is that some people just want to sit back and watch what's going on from the sidelines. Lots of people are joining in, they're interacting with each other, and what we're doing is we're finding out what they need for us to be able to create this online and invite all sorts of experts in, so that everybody really has a voice. It's not about Dad and I and Chris leading the way at all. My dad's name is Michael, by the way. So the three of us, it's not about leading the way. We just had an idea that we wanted to create a space because we felt that's what we wanted, and we invited people to join in, and it's proving to be just what people need at the moment. So one of the it's this quote is one of my absolute favorites, and it really resonates with me, because when I have felt this, that's when I recognize that I'm empowered, and I feel like I could take on the world, if you like, but you just feel courageous. And that's go and love somebody exactly as they are, and then watch how quickly they transform into the greatest, truest version of themselves. When one feels seen and appreciated in their own essence, one is instantly empowered. So that's the space that we want to be able to create. And then from that place, we're not here to save the world. The world doesn't need saving, right? The world just needs people living in it that are willing to open themselves up to connect with other people. And we just need to get out of our own way. We all just need to, step out of our story, if you like, and connect to ourselves and each other. And then small communities of people, there's lots of people out there doing what we're doing, and we want to be able to collaborate with more people that are doing this, because it's a big old scary world out there if you believe everything you're being told. Whereas I personally, each and every day, imagine the world, even if in my own imagination, imagine a world where I can experience beauty and grace and acceptance and gratitude. And a lot of people in the past have told me that I'm a pie in the sky thinker, and they've told me that it's a bit of a fairy tale. But I don't know about you, but when I live in that place, I tend to attract other people who want the same. And in my own experience, when I do that, the people who are not vibrating at the level I vibrate out, they don't hear me. And I end up finding myself living and loving people who are wanting the same kind of vision as we are. So that's in essence how I got to birth Naked through me, and how the Naked Life became a movement where we just see a world of people living in their truth, free of their stories. Because ultimately, I can always imagine, and I'm brought back, this is what fires me up, brought back to driving the kids to school when they were tiny. And it's a bit, anybody who's a mum knows it's a really frantic, busy time in the morning. There's people everywhere and cars everywhere. And I watched mums particularly, and some dads, drag themselves to the school gates, faces down, kids a couple of paces behind. Not all mums, don't get me wrong, I know we're not all like this, but I would recognize that people really struggled with themselves. And I thought to myself, it doesn't have to be this way. That was once me, but it doesn't have to be this way. And only when there are, only needs a few of us that are courageous enough to say, I'd quite like to see things differently, but we are the example of that, then other people go, oh, okay, so it is possible. Oh, okay, I don't have to keep making these crappy choices for myself. You've turned it around. Other people have turned it around. So that's enough for me. How can I do the same? And it's by being in conversation. And I remember saying to my girlfriend years ago, she said, how do you do it? I said, look, I can't give you everything I've got, but whatever I have, you're welcome to. So just ask, and I'll do my best to just share from my experience. And it's about walking with other people. It's walking with other people. We're all walking each other home, as Ram Dass said. And it's just about walking with other people who want the same. And that's where my focus is. So that's where Naked was born. And that's why we're so passionate about creating the Naked Life. So I'm more than happy to answer any questions or be in discussion with anything that you liked about what you heard, didn't like about what you heard. Challenge me, please, because that's the only way we're going to fine tune this Naked Life experience for one and all. It's all a learning curve, for sure.
Thank you so much, Vanessa.
You're welcome.
So how do you become part of the Naked Life? Do we look for your Facebook page? Do we go to the nakedlife.org? How do we get involved with the Naked Life?
Yeah, well, first of all, one of the places at the moment where if you want to be in discussion, have a look at what's being talked about, get a feel for what we are about. When I say we, I mean everybody in the community. That's at the moment is the Naked Life on Facebook. So there's a page, but that's brand new at the moment. We're just having somebody help us with raising awareness of what we're passionate about. But the Facebook group is where we are in discussion at the moment. The nakedlife.org, yes, if you do want to go there, then that's when you can register your yourself to learn more about what we're doing. And then in the autumn we will be launching the Naked Life platform, which will involve first of all a daily message from us that's only going to be about 90 seconds, 2 minutes, that will land on your phone, really just to help share thoughts, inspire, if you like, really just to help you focus better on the direction of what you want to go in. Because actually what Andrea's question was really, really quite profound, in the fact that in all my learning, it doesn't matter what you know if you're not practicing it. That's the one. If you press that and answer a couple of questions, then we can let you in. I've got a girl that lets everybody in.
It's on Facebook, yes?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
For the page?
The group. Yeah. And we're on Instagram and stuff as well. All of that's quite new, but the group is where we've been there for a little while. Yeah, so Andrew's question was really quite profound. We can know this stuff, and logically cognitively it makes sense. I get what you're saying, Vanessa. Yeah, I've got to change the way I think, change the way I feel, and I get that, and I'll do that now, and then I'll do it the next day, and I'll do it the next day. But anybody who's ever tried to create a new habit will tell you they get a few days in, something happens that sideswipes them or knocks them off their perch, or somebody has a go at them, or whatever your story is, and then you go, oh, do you know what, I'll leave it and then I'll come back to it later, and we never do. It's bite-sized bits every single day that makes such a massive difference, that it becomes a way of being rather than just a way of living. And ultimately, we can train our minds to think better, but the hard work is reconditioning your body, because emotions are energy in motion, and emotion is trapped in our bodies. We have the same thought pattern that goes on and on and on. We have about 60 to 80 thoughts a day. This always astounds me. 60 to 80 thoughts a day. 80% of it is the same thoughts that we thought yesterday. Can you imagine? If our thoughts were a sitcom, it would be cancelled through sheer boredom of the fact that we're thinking the same thing over and over and over again. A lot of those thoughts, because you clearly can't be aware of all your thoughts, a lot of those thoughts will go under the radar. They are unconscious thoughts. That's where the damage is, because it's your unconscious thoughts that have programmed your body, and your body is made up of trillions of cells. It's all energy, hence why I'm so passionate about the human prism principle, with the sunlight coming, the energy flowing through our body to be able to express our true colors. When we are aware of what we think and what we feel, and the two are very different, because thoughts are the energy of the mind, the brain, feelings and emotions are the energy of the body. When the two are aligned, i.e., the truest place of me is my heart. If you point to yourself, where do you point? You point to your heart. If I ask you to point to yourself, you don't do this or your knee. Everybody I've ever asked to point to themselves will point to their body, they'll point to their heart. That's the truest part of you. That's who you truly are. But we are trained and conditioned to believe that we're not loving, that we're not, we're all the same. We're all following the herd, if you like. But when you can align your heart and your thoughts, that's when and it's hard work in the beginning, because your body's going, hold on a minute, I'm used to feeling anger or shame or apathy or fear. I'm feeling really good. And so therefore this is different. So I don't want to do this. And the body will resist, which is why it's so hard to create a new training schedule, or eat differently, or cut out sugar, or go for walks on a daily on a daily basis, whatever it might be. The things that you need to do to recondition your body, it can be hard work in the beginning, because your body is not used to feeling such love.
So is your idea to put a plan together? So if someone comes to you and says, oh, I eat healthily, but I can't stop snacking, so sugar's my demon. So do you say, right, well, every time you want to go for a snack, then you've got to think, so you have X, Y, and Z to try and distract you, or maybe you go for a walk, because if you're aiming to be healthier, go for a healthy option.
Yeah.
How do you work it through with people to get them to a place of a life change? Because life changes are so hard, especially as we get older. We just like the thoughts every day. We get into the same routines.
Okay, the life changes are hard. Yes, a lot of it's difficult. It's simple, but it's difficult, if that makes sense. So we think it's hard work because we've lived our lives, and I'm 46 years of age, right? So I've had 46 years of well, the majority of that has been some sort of programming, some sort of conditioning. Now, don't get me wrong, I've had some real highs in my life, and I'm definitely in my Vanessa shaped hole in the world, having a wonderful, wonderful time. Majority of the time, not all the time, because I am human, but it's a lot simpler than we think. And I think a lot of the time that if people don't see big results quickly, they think it's not working. And in my experience, as long as I'm feeling good, and as long as I know how to feel good, I move past my story. And that is the hardest part. I totally get that. When you feel good, you won't reach for sugar. When you feel good, you make better choices for yourself. You just do. I mean, take yourself to a place where you last felt amazing.
Okay.
Yeah. Where, you know,
mindset, yeah.
Yeah. You, I can't even, my family laugh at me. I don't even squash flies, right? Because when I feel good, I can't hurt a fly. When I feel good, I have an open heart, I have high levels of energy, and I see the world very differently. You see it from a broader perspective. And I call it like when you raise your vibration. And if you've ever been up in an aeroplane, you know the perspective from an aeroplane is very different than when you're actually on the ground, where it's noisy and busy and everything's really, really huge. Whereas we go up in an aeroplane, and when you feel good, you raise your vibration. So when you raise your vibration, you have a different perspective on life. You can choose to focus on the bits you want to focus on, and you're also not affected by the crappy bits that kind of come along. You feel so much more empowered. So we think it's so much more difficult than it actually is. And we think we've got to make massive change rather than just, I'm going to do this bit now and this bit now and this bit now and this bit now. But we give up because we've planted the seed and we can't see it. You know, you could, I liken myself to cress. God, that sounds a bit daft, isn't it? But do you remember growing cress at school? You saw the fruits of your looms immediately, right? Whereas bamboo, did you know that a Chinese farmer will plant bamboo seeds and water it for 6 years before it shoots through the ground? Now, that's what I'm asking us to be. I'm asking us to be bamboo, because we have to plant the seeds and connect to the feelings that we want to feel. And this is a massive part of this work, is connect, decide the thoughts that will help you feel better. And we know the ones that are going to make us feel better, right? I am happy rather than I am sad, or I am loving rather than I am fearful. That's very basic. But once we decide to retrain the way we feel, we think, we can then connect that with the way we feel and do it bit by bit by bit by bit, daily, 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 daily. And don't dig up your seed to check whether it's growing. And we do dig up our seeds to check whether they're growing, because we go, it's not working, so I'm just going to sit and eat cake, sod it. Or, you know, I'm not going to go exercising today. And we just get into this. We're so easily drawn back to the story because that's familiar. It's familiar to think, I am worthless, I am ugly. These are my stories, by the way. I am, you know, this, that, and the other. I'm unlovable. It's very easy for me to go there because that's been a lot of my experience. So I told myself. My parents are horrified when I say that, because they are the most adorable people ever, 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 ever. And that's where I was so confused, because they loved me unconditionally and they were gorgeous and encouraging, but I still hated myself. But I now know why, because, you know, I was put on this planet to do exactly what I'm doing now. So I had to experience what I call both ends of the stick. I had to experience the love, and I had to experience the not love, to know the difference between the two. So there's that lovely, I can't remember who said it, but if you decide to be 1 or 0.03%, this is where my math is not great, 0.03% better today than you were yesterday, in 1 year, you will be 100% better version of yourself. That's the power of bite size every single day. And that's the power of being, surrounding yourself with people. And I'm sure you know this to be true, with girlfriends and friends that you have, work colleagues, family members. When you look at the people around you and we're all having a good time, it's easy to support each other. And that's why it's so important for us to create this space, because everybody in here is wanting the best for the other person. Does that make sense? And but also, we're in learning and being in that space with other people, you also learn how to be around people that aren't quite so loving, that you perhaps might find in your daily life, that do want to bring you down, that do want to trip you up. And everybody has their own story. And once we understand that, we can become so much more loving and accepting and kind. Ultimately, it's not difficult, but it's not easy, but it is simple to understand. But it's bit by bit. We can't give you everything all in one go, but we just invite you into a space of the here and now, and learn what you can here and apply it, because that's the reconditioning of the body that needs to happen for individuals, human beings. And then there's a natural appreciation for others doing the same. And it's when you watch somebody be truly courageous and brave, it's incredibly inspiring. Incredibly inspiring. You had 100 people in a room and 99 are in one corner, right? And you've got one person. So say, for example, Andrea says, today I'm going to show up as my true self. I am going to share that actually, and I don't know you, so this is just hypothetical, I'm going to share that for the last 5 years I've cried myself to sleep every night because of this thought I've had about being, I don't know, incapable. So there goes Andrea off into that corner and stands there.
Come on,
Pure.
be nice. Nice.
So do you see what I'm saying? So say, for example, she's like, you know what, I don't want to be stuck here in this cycle of, I don't like myself, I'm not good enough, whatever it is. And we all it all boils down to the same thing, that we're not worthy enough, there's something wrong with us, we're not good enough. The stories just play out slightly differently. So there goes Andrea and her brave, courageous self, and stands in one corner, and she's got 99 other people in the other corner, which is the herd mentality, which is you know, the conformed lot, if you like, right? And then I'm in that 99 and I'm looking and I'm going, oh my God, love her, that's amazing, wow, look at her, she's how, oh my God, that me too. I cry myself to sleep every night because I think I failed as a mother. You know, my marriage failed, my this, my that, you know, me too. And then Andrea and I are in the corner going, oh, this is really liberating. I feel so good. Oh my God. Oh, I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad you're here. This is really liberating. And then Dahlia will be in the corner going, wow, that's really inspiring. I want some of that. I want some of that. And then she starts showing up as, you know, and then of course, then by this time Andrea's going, oh, actually, no, it hurts too much. This is poor, really revealing myself like this. I'm just going to go back to the other corner. And we're going, no, it's okay. We love you. And we encourage you back. And do you see my point? And this is how, in my very simple brain, how I play things out. When one person decides to show up, and as Marianne Williamson says in her quote, it's not our darkness or our fear that we are most frightened of, and I'm paraphrasing, it's our light. And it is when we shine, when we become a beacon, when we connect to ourselves truly, honestly, openly, it's incredibly liberating. And you stand in that corner on your own, and guess what, when you become that beacon, you become the beacon for other people who want the same. And all of a sudden these ships start sailing towards you, and you become an empowered force because you all want the same thing. And then in that space, I'm not having poor, I'm feeling a bit this, that's okay, we're all here. And you just kind of prop each other up, and you remind each other that it's okay, because we are human. Right? We are gonna feel that sometimes it's a bit much, and our story will poke us and knock us off our perch a bit. But if you have got other people around you that love and accept you as you are, and they're just there saying, that's all right, come on, here you go. And you know, you see it all the time in playgrounds with kids grow out of it as we get older. So that's my analogy of kind of what it's all about, really. And it's happening in many other places and not just the naked life. But this is the one that we want to create because this feels true for us.
No, it's lovely. It's really interesting, and it's really good to hear you talk and share your ideas and your thoughts and how it came to become what it is today. I wish you good luck. I've just logged on to the Facebook page and hit the join button, put that I know you as my, how do you know about us?
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you.
I'm sure that what we can do is, if you're happy for us to, is to share that, share the links to your contacts as well, so that may be something that's a benefit to you.
Yeah.
And hopefully, you know, it carries on and you keep inspiring people.
Yeah. I think ultimately
share this as well, because Marley's recorded it.
Oh no, that's lovely. And I think ultimately, you know, it's about being naked. My commitment to myself is to be naked, to live my life of bliss, and my definition of that. That's my responsibility to myself and my life. I've got two beautiful children who are now grown up, one at uni and one in an apprenticeship. They're going off out into the big wide world, right? So that's my gift to them, is I really hope that they can learn to show up naked. And I think the other thing really is just once we do, and it's still a daily work for me to do this. Don't get me wrong. I don't kind of like think this is now not necessarily easy, but it gets easier, and it's a choice I make for myself. Because when one does it, many can do it. And if we can just share snippets of our story and snippets of why we're doing what we're doing, and like I said at the very beginning, it's not about what I say, it's about how it lands with you. And if something is speaking to you, listen to that. And then my invitation is if we can support or encourage or help you with that, then that's what we invite you to do, is show up and be naked. So yeah, I'm all for just popping up wherever I can and just sharing about what we are. And if it's for you, it's for you. If it's not, that's absolutely fine as well. We're not here to convert anybody. We're just here. Our invitation is, this is the space available. This is what we're doing in it. It's ever evolving. Join in if you want to.
Perfect. Sorry, I just put it on mute because my husband just came storming in to make a sandwich because it's exactly 12 o'clock. So
yeah, absolutely.
Schedule.
Lunchtime.
Well, thank you for that. Really grateful that we managed to get this sorted and that you were able to do it today. Has anybody else any more questions, anything they want to ask whilst Vanessa's still available to respond to questions?
Vanessa, I just want to say thank you so much. You really resonate with me and my life, and so connecting with you today and hearing your speech or your presentation really resonates with me. I became a beauty therapist because I wanted to help people feel good about themselves through just a wax. Then they feel more feminine through a massage. And that led me on to then exploring therapies like Reiki and helping people heal. And now I've taken that further, and I'm in the process of becoming a nutrition coach. And then I want to go into functional nutrition, more about healing the body with food. And it all stemmed from that desire when you're young, but it's not cultivated yet, but you just know you want to help people feel great about themselves, and it takes you on that journey. And so what you had to say in your whole journey has really resonated with me, because that's exactly what the world needs more of, especially uplifting women, but everybody uplifting, helping people feel great about themselves.
Well, we just need more examples of exactly what you're just talking about, because when you do it and I'm inspired by it, I'm going to come and say, can I join you? And you know, we've all experienced, I'm sure, because we're human, times where we've just gone, do you know what is all this about? I didn't sign up for this, you know. And one of my posts yesterday was, we are here to live a life of joy. That's our innate experience. So why is that not happening for many people? And you know, I've experienced times where I've wanted to end it all for myself. And I work with people who struggle with, is there another way? And it's only just by being in conversation about how can you help yourself feel better. So yeah, good for you. I'm really pleased for you. Yeah.
Yeah, and I also just joined the group, the Facebook group. It's nice to be involved with more and more of these communities,
Yes.
and it improves your day.
Very much. Brilliant. Oh, thank you for saying so, because I totally agree. I know I'm in conversation daily with such beautiful people. I'm very blessed. The universe is definitely showing me that I'm on the right track somewhere with the people I'm in conversation with, the my friends and family and the people I work with. I can look at and go, wow, okay, good. You know, it's demonstrating to me that there's some boxes being ticked. But yeah, it is inspiring to be around other people who think and feel the same.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
It was perfect as well. It was almost just absolutely an hour. So
Wonderful.
Brilliant.
I'm going to stop recording, and then I'll crop it a little bit, and in the next couple of days I'll pop it on on YouTube, and so let me just stop recording here.